Hello, folks. This is Heath from Gaming in Gotham. Today I'm going to make a video giving you guys some tips, tricks, and pointers to use the Homebrewery, which you see here. Website that uses CSS Markdown to allow you to create various creations, homebrews, that look very much like they were torn straight from the D&D 5e books. Now, there are a number of useful things in here, but among the most useful is the addition of the accounts. If you ask me, as you see up here, that's my account, Pound Town. Yes, sir. With this feature, you can make an account and save all your creations to this account. So if something should ever happen to your device, they are not lost. You can access them from any device. This isn't something that this had initially, but it was finally implemented and received rather well. And through this, you can look at your recent brews. Or you can click on this and bring up a list of things that you're working on and access them. So let's get straight into it and show you some of the handy features you'll find in here and give you a few tips on how to use them. So you want to go down here and click Create Your Own Brew. And that'll bring up a page that looks pretty much like this. It's blank, nothing on it, and then there's this big box here. This is where we will be creating our brews, manipulating all the text and images and things of the sort. So first thing is this toolbar here. A lot of the markdown and CSS coding that will be commonly used to manipulate your brews is already implemented in this handy feature. So with a quick selection, I want to put in a table. Boom. The code will be inserted wherever you have selected. So we can use this to start creating our brew. So you see here, it's a fishmonger table. It just gives you a bunch of gibberish, and you can go in and manipulate this however you please. But before we get to that, we'll start off with a little something else. So we'll hold Control, press Z, undo the last thing we did. So there are a number of options, though a few I personally find more useful than others, and are the ones that I most often use. Now, there is a use for everything in here, but I don't use everything. So I will show you what I personally use to create my home brews. First thing you'll find here is column break. This is used to break columns. Imagine that, as the name would suggest. So when you're entering your text, we're just putting some gibberish here. Blah, blah, blah. Shibbity, blah, blah. This will be used to move it to another column, like so. Now you can either enter the code manually. See how it moved it over here to this next column. Or delete that. Go here, select column break. Now this can be used to make room for art that you have inserted, or for info boxes, or really anything else that may require you to adjust the text as such. Most often to adjust text for pictures, and sometimes to align text that may be behaving in a way that I don't particularly care for, which is something that can happen, but it's not a catastrophic failure, so no worries there. It's something that can be easily remedied with a little trial and error. The next thing we'll find here is new page. Now you may have guessed it, but this will create a new page. This is pretty self-explanatory. By entering this code right here, you can do it manually, and you'll get this nice gray indicator that this is a different page. Or you can do it through the toolbar here. If you don't make a new page and continue to enter text, it will run off the page. It will you'll see it just kind of show up on edges over here. And it'll just look awful. So you'll need to check and see if you notice text running off the page from time to time. And if you do, just create a new page, take the offending text from here, copy and paste it over here, in your new page, and just delete the old text, and you're fixed. You're good to go. One of the other things we have now is you'll see vertical spacing. Now we'll throw some of that in there. See how we just moved this from here to here. This is used to increase or decrease the space between text where this markdown was inserted. So you can use this, you just simply come up here to where it says 140 pixels, and we could increase it more. Let's go to 1,000 pixels. It's off the charts, man. We'll dial it back a little bit here. Let's do 400. Now it's way down here. So you can use this to manipulate, the space between your text or tables or things of the sort to whatever suits your need. While there can be a fair amount of use for this, I find myself using it only occasionally and most often to manipulate where my tables are positioned. The next thing we have here is background image. Now click this and it'll bring this up. Now there's always this little example image that gets brought up. We'll see here in just a second. There it is, this beer mug. So this is what you're going to use to put images into your brews to really add that little extra zing to them. Now this right here, the position, top right, width, now you can add extra ones, which I usually do, is what you're going to use to manipulate your images. So I'll usually we have top, which if we put top to 0, it'll align it to the top according to the space of the image. Let's put 100, and it'll bring it 100, increments from the top. Same thing goes for the right. If we put this to 0, it'll align it, to the absolute right according to the image. We put 100, it'll start to move it to the left. Width is going to be how wide the image is. So if we take this and go from 2, let's say, to 4, you'll see how much bigger it got. Now the thing with width is it stretches it in both length and height. If you want a little more control of your image, which I usually do, insert this text somewhere. So we'll put in right after the pixels, the colon thingy. You guys know what I'm talking about. You can see it. I don't know the proper name for it, but you got to insert one of those. I'll look it up. Right. And then we'll put a space. And then we'll just type height, double dots. Again, my my names are on point with these grammatical things. So double dots. And then we'll type px for pixel. And then once we have this, you can begin to insert height increments. So it'll be 480 pixels wide, but let's say it's only 100 pixels high. It is a smashed mug. So by doing this, we have better control over the height and width of the image so that we can manipulate it, as finely as possible. So that is how you're going to take and manipulate and move around your images to make them look good. Now, I prefer to use background image. There is another option here, which is just plain old image. And what that does, in my experience, is it just puts an image on the page, but it treats it as if it's on the same layer as the text. So it's harder to manipulate, I've found. Perhaps there's a better way to do it or something that I don't know. But I've found using background image solves the problem and lets me do what I want to do. Because background image allows you to move the image as if it was behind the text and just have more freedom for its placement. So think of this one as having 2 clear pieces of paper. On the top piece is your text. On the bottom piece is your image. We're just manipulating the bottom piece, moving it around behind the text. One thing to note is that images can distort based on the quality of the image and how much you stretch it. As you'll notice, there's a bit of distortion starting to happen here. So I find that it's often better when you're looking for images to look for big pictures if you can find them and shrink them down, as opposed to taking small pictures and stretching them larger. So the next thing to look at in the editor here is we have page number. This will number the pages. It's pretty simple. Click on that. It inserts this. And you'll see down here it says Part 1, Fanciness. So you can retitle this whatever you want. If you want it to be Part 1, say we're working on a class or whatever, we'll put the class, or you can call the class whatever you want. And, you just label the pages however you see fit. Now, this is a nice feature. However, there is a better one that I find. So we'll make another page. We'll come down here, go to editor, and we'll go auto incrementing page number. We click that. Come over here. Then it's page 3. Now, what this does is pretty much the same thing as the basic page numbering. However, with that, you have to go in manually and adjust your page numbers. Auto incrementing will number the page based on, well, how many pages you have. I have 3 pages. I put the auto incrementing, on the 3rd page down as page 3. There you go. Yeah, you can take this code and combine it, which is what I often do with this right here. So if we take this, copy, we'll delete that, and we'll take this here, delete that, insert that. We get the auto incrementing function combined with this function here, being able to put down, what the pages and things that we're talking about. And you can just copy and paste this whole code, go and adjust it as needed as far as the parts and what the part's talking about goes. There's no real easy way to do this right now. So you do have to copy and paste it manually if you want to combine the two. Next thing we'll talk about here is the PHB selection of the editor tool. Now, again, I know there's some things in here that I didn't go over, link to page, table of contents, and stuff like that, but I don't really use these. So I'm not going to talk about them. I may make another video later that explains some more uses for a few of these things. But again, I don't really use them heavily, so I won't cover them right now. So anyways, on to the PHB stuff. So we have a spell list, class feature, notes, descriptive text box, monster stat box, wide monster stat box, and cover page. Now, again, these are fairly self-explanatory, but I'll give them a quick once-over. So you want to make a spell. We just click spell, boom, and you have this right here. Looks virtually identical to what's in the PHB, except for one exception. It's this indent right here. So if you want to fix that, click right here, hold shift, and put in 3 underlines, and that'll align the text as it should be. And then off you go. You can set your casting time. This takes 100 actions because it's so crazy powerful. Change the components, duration, and then of course the text of the spell we want it to be, and the name. Now you might notice a few things about this, such as these markings that are used to create this alignment. These are among the most commonly used, I find, markings when creating your brews. And I'll explain that later when I talk about your text. So moving on, we have spell list. This will create a list of spells. And this is what I meant. If you see about sometimes it'll just behave a little erratically, like this got shoved over here. We don't want that. So we would likely want to put our spell list on a separate page. Editor PHB spell list. Throw that in there, and now we have this. Now, this is something that vexed me for a while. And it's something that I have reported a bug to, and hopefully will eventually get fixed. But there's this big gap here, right, with the spell list. It doesn't go, it doesn't flow from top to bottom of the page and move over like you'd think it would. Now, there is a way around this. It just takes a little finagling to get right. So we go to editor, we go to vertical spacing. When we put that in there, you'll notice that it begins to space this stuff out. I don't think it's behaving properly now. I believe I need to remove this div, perhaps. No, now it's telling me it's not working. Well, how about that? Maybe we're encountering another issue. This is something that can be corrected with vertical spacing. Maybe I'm not putting it in the right spot. It's been a minute since I've done this. Let's see if we can fix this. Perhaps it goes down here. Pump this up to 300. Nope, that's not it. Oh, we don't want that. How about inside here? How did I do that? We'll come back to that. I'll figure it out. I'll make another video showing you how to fix that. I think I'm messing up my my div codes here for the vertical spacing. Again, it's been a minute since I've done that. But be that as it may, this is how you make spell lists. And yes, there is a way to align them, and I will cover that in another video, perhaps when I go over some of the other features that I didn't cover here. But you can go in here and change them, add more. Like if it's a class, it only goes up to, say, 5 levels of spells. Like it's like a half cast or whatever. You can just delete this. Just get rid of it. Boom. There you go. It only goes up to level 5, and then you can again put them in. Now, if you want to add more, you just got to make sure to put this in there. This dash, and then put your spell. And there it is. These right here to keep it aligned. This is the code that you want to use to keep stuff in a line, nice and straight. Let's see what else. Class feature. What do we have here for class feature? Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know what happened. Let's do this on a new page. There we are. So yeah, this will give you your hit points and things like that, but this seems to be behaving erratically. So I wouldn't even use this. I don't use that. I find it easiest to do things like that manually. What it's supposed to do is save you a little bit of time, obviously, and just do the code for you. But the code is fairly simple, and it largely consists of these hash marks right here. So let's go, and I'll show you what I mean there. So let's say we want level 1. All right, pretty small, basic text, that you would find describing, class features or descriptive text, maybe about a location or just whatever, just basic, like Times Roman text. But we throw one of these in here, and now it becomes this. We throw another one in here, and it becomes this. We throw a third one, and it becomes this. A fourth one, this. Finally, a fifth one, this. So depending on the amount of hash marks that you put in your text is going to decide what part of the text that it mimics, which you'll find throughout the PHB in various forms. This, for example, the gold underline, this would be used to describe perhaps a new class feature. And then below that, we can put some text, blah, blah, blah. And then we want to talk about the class feature, which is hit harder. We gotta hit stuff so much harder. And then we'll insert a few of these and get that red text kind of bolded without the gold underline, which you'll find, in the class features as well. So you'll use that to just manipulate the text in various ways. So we use PHB. Notes is another one I use. I don't really use class features. I don't know why it freaked out like that. That was strange. I do it all manually like this. So we'll go to notes. And this will give you your green notes, which you can use to put in, insert, just various notes, stuff that might not directly affect the class, but bits of information and things of the sort that could prove useful. You can manipulate everything in here just like you would with the normal text. Now, creating notes, again, is just a very simple thing to do. You can do it manually. You'll need to make these parentheses here, and then whatever you want the note to be about. Let's say it's about the gods and how they see ice cream in Faerun. This note is about the gods and how they see ice cream in Faerun. Maybe they're not big fans of it, Maybe they love it. That's what this will tell us. So you can use that to input those little tidbits. Next, we have descriptive text box, which is similar to notes, but obviously it looks different. So you can use these as well. So let's make another page. We'll come down here and we'll put in a monster stat block. There you go. So this is what the monster stat block looks like in the Markdown or CSS, and this is what it's going to look like on the page. Now you come in here and just find what you want to manipulate. You want its AAC to be 55, because that sounds about right. So I'm just putting in 55. There you go. Its speed, 23 feet. That seems a little much. We should drop that down to maybe how's 5 feet sound. That's good. Strength, dex, con, and wisdom is all right here. And you'll find all that in here. So you can go through, just find what you're looking for, and then you can manipulate it accordingly. Now you'll see there's all this different coding and stuff in here. Now I learned all this simply by trial and error. I self-taught myself how to manipulate a lot of this. But I will show you a few things that could be of use. When creating abilities, if you want it to be bold, you're going to put 3 of these marks in there. And that'll bold it and italicize it. 3 of these stars. See, if we remove it from here, you'll see how it changes over here. So we'll put 1 in. Delete those. You'll see just putting a single one on either side italicizes it. Putting 2 will bold it. Where'd the P go? Up here, I hit insert. There we go. And putting 3 will bold and italicize it. So that's how you're going to manipulate that stuff. These right here, as you'll see, you want these to keep stuff in lines. So to make a line like an aligned thing like this, you'll have to use these. The underlines, you'll see what this does. It should delete this. Move the red spacer. So you need 3 of those. 1, 2, 3 to create the red spacers. Actions, say you wanted to insert legendary actions. We just come down here. One of these ticks here. One of these parentheses, these Pac-Man mouths. We'll go 1, 2, 3. Legendary actions. Man, you got the legendary actions, and then you can start inserting, your stuff beneath it. But we have to put it in a bracket first. There we go. It needs to at least start inside one of these brackets, or as you've seen, it will just simply be outside of it. And yeah, that's how you're going to make your monsters. Additionally, so there's 2 types of monster stat blocks. There is the narrow single column one, and you will also find the wide monster stat block right here. Now you can easily turn a narrow monster stat block into a wide monster stat block if you want. You just simply put a space here and then put 3 more of the underlines. And that's the code that manipulates them from narrow to wide. But you can do it just by using this if you don't want to go through all the hassle of doing the code yourself. And you can make wide monster stat blocks. Really, it's just personal preference. Sometimes wide is better. Like if you have a monster that's got a lot of stuff going on, right? And you try to do it in one of these narrow ones, it'll run from top all the way to bottom, and in some cases it'll run over to the next side, which can sometimes start causing things to behave erratically, as we've seen when we try to use the class feature. Maybe that's a recent bug or something that's happened. So you don't have to experiment, with the boxes and what one's going to work best for whatever it is that you're trying to make. Like I said, there's no necessarily right or wrong monster stat block to use, just whatever is going to work best for you. And then we have tables is another thing that I use often. You have class tables, which is going to give you this, your class table. And then it'll look like this, which can be a little confusing at first, and you can go in here and start manipulating this. Like this class is the notarer, which you'll see right here, and then you'll see the level, proficiency bonus, features, and all those things. There we go, right here, and then you can go in and start changing this stuff as you see fit. Like Plasma Outlaw, that's a pretty sweet ability, but it's not enough. He's got to have a Laser Fist Mastor with a 0. That's how we really know. There. You can just go through and do that for everything. Cantrips. We want him to have first level. He should know 20 cantrips. That sounds about right. Spells known 1. What is this guy? Freaking peasant. 100. He knows 100 spells. And then he knows. Let's see here. He knows 10 9th level spells at level 1. Sounds about right. And there you go. You just made a badass. Like this dude's really good. He can be better though. So you just go in here and manipulate that stuff to make your classes as you see fit. There are a couple other uses for these tables, some hacks, if you will, and I will show those to you later. Again, I need to go back and figure out what I did wrong with the spell list thing. Like you use the vertical spacing to fix it. I don't know where I put it in wrong. Anyways, I digress. half class table. So this is going to give you a thinner class table. You see this like the fighter has a smaller class table like this. The barbarian, they both have half class tables. So if the class doesn't have spells, and doesn't need a big class table like this, you can get a half class table, which looks quite nice, actually, and offers more real estate as well for perhaps art and things of the sort. So again, it works identically to the big class table. Just go in here and manipulate things as you want between these lines, these separators right here, and change stuff around to fit what you build. Make another page, and let's look at basic tables. So here's just a basic table, which you can use to include information. The Dragonborn is a good example. The Dragonborn race has a table similar to this, which they use to show you the breath weapons and how they function. So that's one of the uses you can use for this basic table. Another page, like a wide table. So again, it's just like a basic table, but wider. You use this for whatever you want, really. If you want to add more stuff to a table, by the way, what you do is you come over here, click here. So these are these particular markdowns are what decide how many rows are in your table. So if you put, we'll come up here so we can see. If we put, there's a couple more dashes in here, and then throw in one of these vertical lines, and then include the dots. Gotta have the dots. We get a space. Then we'll come up here and we'll type tastiness of the cookies, the cookie type, and how about the texture of the cookie, and then throw another vertical line. Then you have to do the same thing through here with all of these to the coloration. So just another vertical line, boom. There you go. Another vertical line, boom. You can't really see that one because it's clear, but it's there. It's there, trust me. A vertical line, and so on and so forth. And we have just added another column to our table. And that's how that works. So if you need a table with multiple columns in it, that's how you do that. And alternately, you can also reduce columns by just deleting the stuff. And then we have split tables, which are these right here. It's just a normal table, but it's got like a little divider in it, which again you can use for various purposes. So that is a lot of the tools and functionality in the home brewery that I use and manipulate to create my homebrew things. And once you start to figure it out, you can go from a blank page like this, coding here, and we can actually make home brews that could look like perhaps something like this as a finished product. We'll just do a quick peruse through this. So here's an example of art manipulation. Here's an example of text manipulation. Here's a class table. Here's more text manipulation. And again, this is just simple, the hash marks, simple hash marks is giving all those various different text size. These right here are using the stars to make it bold. Then the underlines, right? And then the little dashes to align stuff and make proper columns. Here's one of the tables in use. Again, more art. Here's a monster stat block in use. And there you go. That's what can happen. An example of what you can create, something like this, which I think looks pretty nice. Once you learn how to manipulate all this stuff in here. Now, it might take you some time, a little practice, but stick to it, and you'll figure it out. Again, I learned how to do all of this largely by trial and error. When I first started using the home brewery, it didn't have all these handy little doohickers up here. It had a couple, but a lot of these were added over time as more people inserted and found out, how other CSS and Markdown affects this. Which it does. If you are familiar with CSS and Markdown, you can start trying to use that stuff in here and just see what happens. And you can come up with some pretty cool things. So stick to it. Don't give up. And next thing you know, you'll be making amazing homebrew that looks quite professional and would be, very hard to distinguish from something, found directly in the PHP itself. So I hope this helps you guys. I'll make another video a little bit later, I believe, that will address some of the other things that I didn't go over. Again, I didn't go over them intentionally because I don't really use them, but I will try to cover those. And I will also show you guys some hacks and little cheats that you can use with some of the stuff in here, like different ways to manipulate and use the tables and things that you can do with them as well. All right, well, that's it for now. Stay tuned for the next video, guys, and get out there and start making those brews.